First of all, I gotta be thankful. I gotta be thankful. And I'm not saying that just to say that, but I gotta look at the perspective of what's happening here. I'm a target individual, I'm a TI. And first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to all the testimonials. And I want to thank Target Justice and all the organization that wanted to bring awareness to what's happening to target individual. It's been amazing. And as a target individual, the isolation and an ecosystem that wanted to override reality. They've given me like this sense of honor and also a sense of like wisdom that is not wisdom. It's just this an ecosystem of people who's just clowns. But clowns that deserve to be killed. I'm not here preaching death on anybody or preaching to kill, I should say, kill anybody. But this perps, wow, it's been really bad. And they have this like ways of just having like their own like infantile way of closure. That's not, it's like try to like, I wish I could articulate better what I'm trying to say. The validation of what they're part of and how they're harmful to children is surreal. It's something that's just another level. But they still contract these people who are supposed to stay in character. With me, as they do this pedophilia type of torture, they wanted me to internalize this as if that's not what they do. It was not going to work in the first place. But then with time, there's more validation of how diabolical they are to children, harmful to women, how these facades are being utilized where mothers participate in gaslighting other mothers who are targeting individuals into internalized manipulation. Like all of that has been put, and I put that in their faces. Now, with the perps around me, what they try to do is create an ecosystem where I'm supposed to be fearful to the point of internalizing this. And this got such a disconnect because it's not gonna be good. Because thank you, God, for giving me this wisdom that apparently is hard to find at this point here, but it's not even wisdom. I think the information that I have at this point is just too much to circumvent. Listen, I was aware that they would manipulate my brain to make me experience that, but there was a time when they really wanted me to look at them as these people who just do this analytical assessments and they were going through patterns. It was nonsensical. It was so stupid even before finding out everything. It's like, it doesn't even make sense. Who is that? Who are these clowns? What? And today, forget about not even making sense. Now they're leaning toward the most undeveloped brain to gaslight me. And it's been bad. I just dropped a video. Please go watch. The patterns of what they do is surreal. Listen, these patterns that they do, these tortures of women and children, they love to target your genitals. You're going to hear as a target individual when you start discovering other testimonials that there is a common tactic. First of all, what they do to you, you will hear other people saying the same thing. And all kind of random people, mothers, fathers, even children get tortured similar than the way you get tortured. And with that being said, it will not stop these perps from still trying to gaslight you, because they know that this technology can override your brain. For example, my thoughts are completely overridden. I don't go with it. And they use perps who are supposed to gaslight you and think that the way this idiocy of rationality is something you should be subscriptive to. But now it's getting too bad. Listen, there was these clowns in the hallways. You're gonna find out soon that neighbors are quite the participant in what's happening to you. There's always a ecosystem, or a lot of the times, most target individuals deal with like neighbors and participant who lives around you, try to gaslight you, try to disorient you, break you down, make you internalize this manipulation. And you hear the same stories over and over and over and over with other target individuals. But before that, it was annoying. It was agitating. But what has changed the most is you start finding out more about the horrible things they do to children. Because forget about this stupidity, the way they want to rationalize. They are literally harming children. And they want me to let that be the norm. Like, don't even, when you view us, do not assess the fact that we torture children. Do not put that in the mix. Just ignore, neglect that for a second. And look how we're just doing this research. And how it makes sense. Even these ways of trying to make me internalize these things makes no sense. But then you add all the validation that these people are the same people who torture children, who then want you to make logical sense. And so it becomes from agitation to these people need to pay. What is happening here is they are trying to cover up the horrible things they're part of, which consists of harming children. They torture babies. I keep saying that. I've been saying that for a long time. Now, I discovered a lawsuit that was, the thing is, I've been too busy to look into more stories with Target Vigil. But the lawsuit with Target Justices versus Garland included a few minors, which they've been trying to negate that by bringing up this low life. I don't want to call them children. I don't even want to call them human beings. These perps who are involved in this, who are not adults. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of participants who are children. Now, obviously, they are nobodies. They are just directed to participate, but they love this. They gamify this. To them, it's a game where they think they're winning or losing. And for me, I'm like, I'm going to win that. And it's not that I'm going to win getting out of this thing. No, I understand this is a governmental program. But you're not going to win what you try to paint yourself as. And if anything, you're putting yourself in circumstances where now I see you for being involved in something that tortured children, and you want me to let you live that fantasy with all the children. The worst part is when the parents try to utilize it. Like, when there's parents with their little kids, the little girls, the little babies, whatever it is, try to use that as a way. It's like, oh, look at me differently, trash. If anything, for me, when I see perps with kids, they're the worst to me. They're the worst. They're the most disgusting. Why? Because they are parents. They should be relating to target individuals who see their children being tortured. Because what if your child was going through this? You can't even picture yourself dealing with this thing. Imagine. Now, I'm not here to bring morality to this. They're low life. Low life come in all shape and form. Some of them are parents. But for me, it's like, this is the reality. You're even worse. You're more disgusting than these retards that you guys use to push me into stupidity. Because you are children, and you know what they do to children in this program. So you want me to look at you as a protector of children in a program where they torture children younger than your children, or children the same age as your children. No, you're a piece of shit that's trying to break me down into accepting this manipulation. Because you know what you're involved in, harm babies. And you get yours for that. Whatever hell that's waiting for you is going to come. I'd rather go to this hell set up by people who torture children. I just dropped a video showing the clear patterns of what they do. The patterns of female participant being a key element in gaslighting target individuals, especially at the female TI. The reason why they use female perps is because when female perps involved in this, it's like they're normalizing what's happening. Because there's a credibility when it's a woman doing that versus a man. For example, this male perps, when you hear them, you know, like, it's like, oh gosh, I can imagine you doing that to a child. But to imagine a woman, a mother, being involved in this and doing that to children is harder. I guess that's how we are wired, and they take everybody's wire and they take that aspect to use that as a psyop, especially with women. So there's a pattern of female TI claiming there's a lot of female participants. And what this female participant do is to try to gaslight them, to normalize whatever they're experiencing, whatever torture they deal with, from the manipulation that's pedophilia centric, using other female to be like, oh, it's you, just let it, just that's you. To even the tortures, even facilitating some of the sexual torture. So in this, there's a pattern of that. There's a pattern of genital torture. When it comes to physical torture, they like to do burns of your body, specifically the genitals. There's an obsession with tormenting target individual, harming the genitals, inclusive of children. How do I know that? Guess why? Guess how? Guess what is out there? Testimonials of mothers saying, I'm seeing my child suffering in this fashion. A woman saying, I see this child clutching their genitals like they're in pain. In this lawsuit, there's a woman saying, I see my 3-year-old toddler in pain every day. Maybe not sexual, but she's so much in pain. She got fevers that's so hot that I can feel it. She's in pain. I can tell she's in pain. She can't speak because she's only 3 years old. She bangs her head, which they will try to flip from my brain in a different way, on the floor, because her mind is, they're doing things to her, like V2K or whatnot. So there's plenty of that. These trash are so gaslighting. But they do this gaslighting like, oh yeah, he does. It's like, yeah, this is a great way. You have covered that up. You saying he does makes me forget how you torture children. And how it's well testified. And so there's patterns of sexual torture, patterns of female participants, patterns of this pedophilia type of torture. Very strong pattern, actually. I think there's more pattern of pedophilia type of torture than torture of children. And there's a pattern of how to paint the target individual as a pedophile. There's even testimonials of women saying that they have been some of this purpose implant child porn. There is even testimonials that show a pattern that neighbors participate and do these things. If you live in an apartment, they do this noise campaign. They slam doors. They have dogs bark. Every time you're being manipulated, they slam the trash chutes. They yell in the hallway, like same old things. Literally, in my video, you have an example of that. That neighbors' participation is very, very, very at a high level. And there's even the woman who helped build the case, Targeted Justice versus Garland, saying, when we talk to this target individual, and she's a target individual herself, it's like there's a common defamation tactic of calling the target individual a pedophile, even women who have children. Now with me, that's how I was supposed to think, because they do this thing, right? You've seen my videos. I was recording this video that called Patterns, that put in, and you know, when I do these things, it's not hoping that it's going to change what's going to happen to me. I put that in their faces because this trash still try to gaslight me. So for me, it's like a way to just maintain this wisdom that apparently it is wisdom. That's you can't even cover that up. Your games is so demolished, the facade. Now I know this governmental entity was going to destroy my life, because we're dealing with governmental entities, not some next door clown neighbors who gamify the horrible things they're part of, who find empowerment, which a lot, by being involved in a program that does this. I know I'm not going to win. That's the government is going to destroy me. These clowns wanted to do this thing as the justice seekers, as people who protect children, for the little girls, when there's little girls in the same lawsuit as young as 3 years old being tortured. So I'm listening to this. I'm recording the video. I'm prepping, and I'm prepping to make the video and upload it. Now it's up, so feel free to go watch this. They start making me think, because today this is what's happening when they manipulate me in these ways. They want me to think that what's happening is they're matching or make me experience, or their research have shown that, because as what I did when I was in middle school as a child, a one-time inappropriate act of a child in 8th grade, which they've been trying to exaggerate, something I did to myself when I was in middle school, is validation that they don't do the pedophilia type of torture. That it's just mapping. It's stupidity. And they do this noise campaign that's supposed to intimidate me into accepting this. For me, they tell me they're going to saw me and this and that. I was like, what? I'll run to that song. I'm listening to a 3-year-old toddler that's being so tortured every day that she's banging her little head to the floor. What torture you think? Boiling? I'll jump in the boiling water. For this child that the acronym is HF and LM and JD into Target Justice versus Garland. They're being tortured in horrible ways. For those who've been tortured in sexual matters. You think I'm going to be scared of? No. I have a purpose for them. My purpose is not allow people who know they get involved in something that torture children and make me think in this is stupidity, bringing up a child act that they've been trying to create like that. That's a pattern. They've been trying to force patterns to the point where they've been trying to recreate these things in different fashion and make it happen multiple times. There's this thing I was listening to the video, and they'll make me think, because when I was the same age, I remember being like not babysitting, but I was like a brother, like to like younger boys, and I was going through my old Facebook, and as I see like an old message with one of this little boy that sent me a message like, hey, I remember when we were playing hide and seek and you helped me hide, and you couldn't find me because what we did was like we knew where he was hiding, but we pretended to go, let's call him Stefan, where are you, Stefan? We knew he was hiding there, but he was like so proud. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm so good. You know, little kids. He's like, oh, he was hiding. And like, Stefan. And so he sent me a message, and I was about in middle school too, like around 2000 in middle school, like a bit younger before I did this stupid thing to myself, just maybe a few months younger. And they're like, but you didn't do anything there to yourself. It's like, you see, so little boys is not true, but little girls is true, because remember what you did to yourself. And try to make me assess things like this, like, you talking about a child when I know you torture children? And they're like, no, we proved it. It's like, I've beyond proved that you harm children. I've beyond proved that you do the pedophilia type of torture. What you do, they're known to be doing the pedophilia type of torture and paint target image in this fashion. And try to make me rationalize why I did to myself. I did this thing to myself as a child when there was, the little girl versus the little boy. You see, little girl is real. It's like trash. You just try to take an action of a child who did something to himself once. Try to recreate it in worse ways to make me accept this manipulation that you make me experience today as a grown adult man, and start bringing up childhood inappropriate acts while you torture babies. And they have this whole clowns around you who are gaslighting you. It's like, you're going to be castrated. You torture 3-year-old babies. And you want me to think like a fucking retard. Okay. If this is the wisdom that's put on me, I'll hold on to this wisdom. For the HF, for the JD, for the LM, all these people, all these children, all these women who've suffered and tortured. There's women seeing their children suffering. There's women being sexually tortured. You think I'm going to allow you to stoop me to this stupidity because you have some child in some retard that are supposed to be contagiously retarded? To these mothers and fathers who think that today, when I'm forced to experience this thing, when I see their children, I don't know what they do to children as young as your kids. I will never internalize this. I'm a grown adult man, and when I was a kid, I didn't even experience that. You just try to use that to make me accept this manipulation today. But it's okay. They're known to be doing this thing because that woman said it clearly, like they love to make the target look like he's a pedophile. That's part of that's the part of the defamation. Can you imagine having everything against you to the point where, oh, by the way, so many target individuals are saying like they paint them as target individual as pedophiles. And this clown's like, no, but with us, we don't do that. We don't manipulate you that way. Remember when you were in middle school, we matched it. It's like trash. You try to exaggerate what a child did, what a child is capable of doing at that age, and then try to rationalize it. No, but what did it not happen? It happened once, and that time, that's it. And like, but what did it now happen once with this? I'm like, okay. How many times it happens when you torture children? Every day, right? Why is it happening every day? Why are these little girls are being tortured every day? I know. You target, there's no rationalizing with these clowns. They have a purpose. Their purpose is to cover up the horror of what they're part of. They'll pay for what they're part of. They pay for covering up the sufferings of these babies. I don't care who and how old these perps are. I will not be contagious. I will not be, their retardation will not be contagious. And when we face this wisdom that I have will be maintained. If that's the blessing of God to maintain this wisdom, which I'm just saying that as I'm trying to be sarcastic because it doesn't take wisdom. It's as obvious as it gets. That the people who are known to do this disgusting pedophilia-centric manipulation, who are known to paint target individuals in these ways, who are known to harm children in these ways, who are known to do even burn genitals, will not do this manipulation. But no, it's me when I was a child. They protect little girls by torturing them in some cases. I am so thankful, but it's not easy. I gotta take the things I'm thankful for is that I never got involved in this thing. I'm glad that somehow I didn't even have the option to be an idiot like them, where their rationality is this stupidity, even when they have everything going against them, that they're known to harm children in this program. There's women and their children wanting justice for what's happening to them and their children. Diabolical torture to the point of sexual torture, abuses. Because, for me, when they talk about what I did as a child, which they try to exaggerate, they're like, it's abuse. No, it's a child doing an inappropriate act that a child is capable of doing. But you are involved in something that does abuse children, like HF, like JD, like the kid with Down syndrome that the teacher was seeing being tortured and clutching her private part, her and her sister. Like the kid with autism that was gasping for air. And this teenage trash involved in this, I help in covering that up. I'll face whoever who is a perp the right way. I'll maintain that wisdom. I understand that in this program, they are changing people's brain, rewiring them, and try to trick them into internalizing. Some of the trickery are pure retardation. Now, my mind is no longer mine. For mine to try to rationalize this thing the way I just described, it takes a mind that's no longer fully stable. And it takes a mind that's no longer theirs. It's no longer mine. My brain is for them to play with. They love it. And every time they make me think this way, it's like, oh, we got you. You just made me think like a retard. To try to rationalize it, but you didn't feel like, remember the little boy, why did this happen? You see what happened there when you were so that proved little girls are trash. That's a kid doing an inappropriate act that happened once that you try to change it. That's what a kid is capable of doing. And yes, I'll change like this little 3-year-old's changing. Her brain being destroyed as a 3-year-old. I'll scream like this little kids are screaming in pain when they're being burned in the genitals. Crying. To this low life coming here, please. You have blessed me to become the most genius person around here. And it's not true. I'm not a genius. This wisdom is not even wisdom. It's the most common sense you can ever have. With time, there's more validation. I've always asked God give me strength, but also keep unmasking these clowns for what they are. Let's make them unable to cover up reality. I have names I can yell out. of people that want justice because their children are being tortured. This woman saying this pedophilia defamation is known. They do these things. This honking, all this thing is part of the gaslighting to make target individual internalize this manipulation as they break their identity. They were making me think of me as a child as I'm listening to children being tortured. They were trying to make me rationalize this manipulation by making me think of me in middle school. To negate the obvious patterns here. And I was like, I was letting that happen. It's like, I'm telling you, I'm going to win. I'm telling you, I'm going to be a wise person. Because there is too much validation that they do this manipulation. There is too much validation that they harm children. There's too much validation that these clowns are doing everything possible to push target individual into insanity, even suicide. Stimulate me whenever you want, however you want. I understand this technology does that. If that to mothers, to their own children. I was listening to some testimonials that consist of women with this manipulation, forced to get this manipulation when they see their own children. And still like, nah, there's something there. I was like, yeah. Yes, you're an idiot. Let me say this. You're not an idiot. You're a professional idiot. What I mean is their job is to behave this way. Their purpose is to gaslight me, to try to make sense of things that cannot be made sense of. They are paid professional retards. But their retardation is not contagious. So I'm like, I'll guarantee you, and I'm being sarcastic, I'm going to maintain the wisdom. The wisdom I'm talking about is like the people who force people to get sexual arousal toward their own children will not do that to me. But for me, it's a matching, it's an assessment of the pattern of me when I was a child that did something once. And then they falsify memories, give me stimulation I didn't experience then. Well, they have patterns over and over. Target individual all around the world saying they're forcing me to have these experiences, they're forcing me to do this, they give me sexual arousal, they do this pedophilia type of torture. Yeah. And so now I'm here in this apartment where there's a lot of childish individual, but I deal with coworkers. They try to, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you, God. As I'm listening to a 3-year-old bang her head on the floor, you try to bring up me as a child. It's okay. I remember once somebody's like, oh, you're so wise. I'm like, I'm extremely wise. The wisdom I have is magical. As I'm saying that, they try to disorient me. And as I'm able to be so wise, what they try to do? Destabilize me, try to bring up other things. I hear some clown saying, try to bring up something from this. Says, this is the game. I'm telling you, my wisdom is going to be strong. No matter who sensei you bring up. Because I listen to the horror over and over. The videos I make is to listen to the abuses over and over. So when I see this trash bringing up abuse, they don't go and take themselves from this assessment. They can be accountable for being involved in a program that abuses children in such a many diabolical way and have a thing for genital torture. Send this trash. You're not going to be involved in this program and redesign it into this fierce thing that you think you're part of. For the little kids suffering, sexual and non-sexual ways. You make it very easy for me to become honorable. And I'll take that chance for what it is. Thank you, God, for giving me that opportunity to feel so wise. That gave me strength for the sufferings, because I put that in their faces. It's provoking to them. They're like, you know how bad it's getting? Well, it's going to be our worse. Because their norm is torturing a 3-year-old that way. That's how they want to start thinking. They want me to think. You're going to be tortured so badly. It's going to be worse than how we torture these babies and women. That's how they prove they protect children. No, I'll run to your worst torture because I want to make sure that you failed. You guys are the one abusing children. and covering up those abuses. This evilness that you want to involve yourself in but don't want to be accountable for being part of that. That's not how it works. I hope that Target Major, you stay strong. You know, who knows how many have killed themselves. I'm sure there's a lot. For me, like this woman said, God has helped me. My videos is not about preaching religion, but what has helped me stay strong is definitely God, but also other Target Major testimonials. Because they want to detach you from reality, and the validation that others are going through the same thing destroys their little fantasized reality. It ruins the little reality they've created. They're still slamming doors like it's still an effect. I feel like sometimes I'm like, this poor, those doors are slamming back and forth. Don't even waste you. Don't ruin those doors for that. It's not working. Keep having your dog bark so I can record that and show these patterns. It's okay. I understood the second I was putting this program, they destroyed my life, and I know who did that. And there's so many cherry on top of everything in regard to that. This is amazing. that is just amazing. They try to counter that, but I've even put that in their faces. Like, you just some bottom feeder in this whole thing. You can't even say the name of this man like that. And you know I know that name because these people who put me in this program donate money to this man. After these allegations, after women came up and said when I was a child, this man was doing that to me. It's okay. I will be that wise person. Come and say your little phrases. I might be. I was like, yeah, I might be. Yeah. I don't see any pattern of what you guys do here. You know, and the might be is one of the most stupid things they say. The might be comes from when they were just bombarding me, saying the same thing. You are 3, 4 in the morning, try to like annoy me to like, and I was like try to sleep. I was like, oh, I might be. So they're all like, oh, we'll prove that you admit it. It's like, no, clown, I'm just trying to dismiss your retardedness. And they're like, yeah, you might be. I was like, okay. Yeah, I might not see this pattern here. Who can see that? And the best part is like, oh, they are seeing this. Everybody's seeing, like, oh, so they're seeing the people who torture children. They're seeing how these people are protecting children. That they're not manipulating my brain. And this stupidity to bring up a childhood. While these people, grown men and women, are involved with children, are involved in something that blind children temporarily, give them seizures, give children high fevers and pain, and to the point where the little 3-year-old bang their heads on the floor because whatever's happening to their brain. They're damaging children's brain at 3. Yes, I might be, and you might be protecting children by torturing them, right? So for me, this wisdom, which big quotes because it's not even wisdom, this common sense, I should call it, is something that I'm going to hold on to till the last breath. But I know they're going to do everything possible to destroy that. Because they know that they need to be accountable for what they're part of. And they know the rage I have is real. They have a rage to try to cover up how they torture children. They're like, oh my gosh, yeah, pay for what you did. When they're out here suffocating 7-year-old kids with autism. Where genital torture is even applied to children. God give me strength for whatever horror I'm going to go through. But thank you so much. Target me, just stay strong. Tell your story. Because you don't understand how much this a high effort to gaslight Target Vigil. And by put these things into their faces, not only Target Vigil maintain strength because it's like, okay, well, this is impossible to even try to gaslight me. You do this thing to others too. What? I know who I am. I know I'm manipulated. This is something that I didn't experience before August 19, 2019. Today I'm forced to experience that. Matter of fact, they try to erase my memories and make me feel like I experienced these things. But I've been making videos about it for years. It will be a day, maybe all that. It's okay. I got the chance to say whatever I need to say. tell me how they're gonna mute me. It's like I've said it so many ways, because I know there'll be a day I will never be able to speak. Well, I'll never be able to express myself. So I am taking this chance now as I can speak as many times as I can. But if today my voice is gone, I've said it all. Matter of fact, I don't even need to say it. Others will say it. That's what talking visual you have to speak up to. Because you can become the voice for others when the others' voices are no longer there. These mind games, this stupidity, they play so much. Right now, they make the word opportunity. I don't want to use it because they've been trying to create. Because what I did as a child is something that I did once. They were trying to make me imagine. But what if you have more opportunities? And they were trying to make me imagine now. And the best part, and not the best part, the worst part, I should say, is initially I didn't know. Like, I really thought that they were going to let me think. I was like, okay, let me see, let me imagine. And they make me imagine doing this something else. I'm like, gosh, I was such an idiot to even allow them. It's like, I don't have no control of my mind. My imagination is for them to play. And they're like, oh, they act like they caught me. It's like, you just made me imagine these things. Talking about me as a child. Well, in real time right now, I'm looking at a lawsuit that was filed in 2023, dismissed in 2024. Where these minors, as young as 3 years old, being tortured. Well, this trash, which I don't want to call them minors, this low life, as they bring up memories, they alter. This low life that are not adults, who are groomed, who live a life of just enjoyment, covering up the reality, calling themselves the negators. They stop calling themselves negators for a minute, but I'm sure they'll bring that back. Negating what they do to women and children, negating what the validation that they do this manipulation, negating the validation that they manipulate everything from memories to real-time experiences. I will say that a million times, put that in the air for this low life to be properly cursed when they come. But if I face them before that and they behave this way, I have to stand on what on the reality of what this is, and act accordingly. That's a promise I have to make to myself. That's a promise I have to make to these women and children suffering this program. I'm not going to allow these clowns who be negating, try to silence your sufferings so they can paint themselves as protectors of children. For those trash who show their kids thinking, oh, yeah, how old is your kid? 2, 3? You want to hear some children tortured at that age? What would you do if you saw your child start having fever and pain, banging her head, came and speak? It's not fair, huh? I guess it's fate that you got involved in this. Because they will mean they're like, no, with you it's fate. Okay, it's fate that you got involved in a program where babies are being tortured. Thank you, just stay strong.